All right, everybody. What's up? Dad Dash here, coming to you live from the road. We're going to do a little talking today. I'm out working, but I figure I wanted to do a live, and we're going to talk about some things in regards to the gig economy. So as you're coming in and out, say hi in the comments. If you want to comment or ask a question, let me know. I'll try to pay attention to the comments, but do remember I am driving. So this will be something that will be able to be watched on replay as well as live for anyone who wants to pop in. And like I said, I'll also be working, so I'll be coming in and out as well as I'm driving. But I want to go over a few things today, get a few things straight in terms of helping people out to understand things better. And go from there. So let's see here. Comments. What's up, Hawk Smash? How you doing, man? How you doing? Hope your day's going well. I saw you in Flexes earlier. But today I wanted to talk. Like I said, the topic of conversation is understanding the gig economy. And we're going to start from the most basic. So this will be something I hope people will refer back to or watch, because it's something that's very, very important. And the good thing is I can't be interrupted. No one can pop in because there isn't a link to pop in on. So you can pop back out if you don't like what I'm saying, but you might learn something if you stick around. So anyways, let's get started. So one of the things that I talk about that I think is the pillar of understanding the gig economy is understanding the concept to which we should be operating under. And that is that we are gig business operators. And we are operating a gig operated business. Many people struggle with that concept, and they work against that. And it is there that the friction exists for the average everyday delivery driver operating in this space. And it is that point that I have tried to drive home in video after video and show exactly what we are, and have tried to show you that the apps themselves have acknowledged this and stated this and tell us this and say that is the key to our success. Now, you may say, okay, why does that matter? Well, it matters because if you are operating like a business operator, you are going to do things differently than if you are operating like someone who is dependent on the apps themselves. The apps themselves are a tool. They are a tool for which you are to use to make money for your gig operated business. That is what the apps are. As a result, because they are a tool for your business, you should be using them for your benefit, not allowing them to use you for their benefit. So the first thing you've got to understand here is this. The apps themselves are actually operating as your agent. Okay? And why is that significant? That's significant because the apps are collecting monies on your behalf that they retain, and then they charge you for the services they're providing without any input from you, even though the contract you sign with them states that you have input and that you have agreed and that they are essentially showing you a base pay structure to which they are paying you out based on the money that they are collecting. And the The reason why that is significant is because there is a very, very, very common misconception that we are asking for DoorDash's money or Grubhub's money or Uber Eats money, that we are wanting something from them. But here's the thing, it's not their money. They are taking our money for their services without having worked out an actual legal servicing agreement that lays out exactly what the pay structure is. It makes zero sense when you think of it in the terms of the apps being a service provider, us being the business, and us agreeing to let them collect money on our behalf with zero knowledge up front of what they're going to be getting from the money they're collecting. And thereby, because they're operating on behalf of us and us not operating on behalf of them, we are taking all of the liability and risk on the shoulders of our businesses. Now, they are purchasing insurance on our behalf because they have agency over our business to do so. But it still has to be thought of in those terms, that the idea that we retain all of the risk while they're collecting money on our behalf, holding out for all legal purposes, that it is Dad Dash that is the company here. Dad Dash is the delivery service here. Dad Dash is responsible for everything. And we are simply acting on behalf of Dad Dash and his business, which he's agreed to. Now, I'm aware of this, but the average Dasher is not. And that is a huge, huge, huge thing. Because if they're acting on our behalf as our agent, then the money that they have in their possession is our money. And we should be getting billed from them. In other words, we should be getting a bill from them laying out exactly what they did for us, laying out exactly what it is they did for our businesses. We're not talking about sharing in their profits or sharing in their boardroom profits or talking about end of the day profits. We're talking about they are generating the way they get money for their business. One of the ways is they are collecting the money on our behalf. Now, remember, without us, without the Dasher, they don't exist yet. And that's an important thing you have to understand. That's what makes all of this so important right now. Because right now, they need us. Right now, we're the most important piece of the puzzle. Right now, we have the most leverage because we are the thing that they need the most right now. Without us, none of it operates. And they know that. And that's why they go to such lengths to try to manipulate us, to try to influence us, to try to keep us from realizing exactly what the relationship is that we have with them. And they also, that's another reason why they go after bringing in as many inexperienced and new dashers and new drivers as possible, because they don't want the people out here who are recognizing and realizing the real structure of what's happening. Because if the average driver woke up to this and said, hey, wait a minute, you're keeping my money, then they would start demanding more. Now, the thing is, obviously, you would say, well, what are the options? There's two options, really. One is you walk away from this and say, this is a mess. This is not something I want to be part of. And perhaps a majority of dashers maybe should do that, until this situation gets worked out and figured out into a way that it's a business relationship that makes sense. But the second way we can make a difference, the second way we can do it is through accepting and declining orders. outside of any guidance from the apps themselves, outside of any priority that they claim to give us, which really doesn't exist, as many people who are experienced drivers will, who've looked at the numbers. And that's why I'm encouraging everybody out here, pay attention to your numbers. If you're working, you can believe your gut, which isn't bad. I mean, but it's not accurate because it's not looking at the reality of what's going on in your market. Or you can look at the numbers. The numbers don't lie. The numbers will guide you, and the numbers will help you see what's really happening. It will help you see what your average offer is. It will help you see what you need to make the money that you need to make for your business. And it will give you a basis to which to work off of and evaluate off of. And if you are working blindly, then you will get results that reflect that. But you can't work blind. You have to work smart. You have to work smart. And working smart is being aware of your numbers. Working smart is being aware of the fact that the apps themselves will not reward you. They are never going to reward you in this setup because you are not their employee. They don't have to reward you. And they never will reward you. They will reward you for doing things that make them money, but they will never reward you for doing things that make you money. And if you don't understand that, you will learn over time to understand that. Stick around long enough and you're understanding. You may not even understand that you're understanding it, but you will understand it. So what it comes down to is two things. One, recognizing that you need to ask for what you need, ask for more to get more. Okay? Ask for more to get more, right? What do they have? They have the creative little idea, earn more or accept more, earn more. No. That's not it. Accept more, earn more. It means earn more frequently, not earn more money. It means you will be earning more frequently. Accept more, earn more. They just left frequently off the end. It means that you will more frequently be getting money, but it does not mean that your overall money will be more. Okay, understand that concept. Now, accept valuable orders and you will earn more over time, which is why value is the only thing that matters at the end of the day. Now, I will say that obviously everybody has their own value statement. So what's valuable to you may not be valuable to me. That is the individuality that exists here. That is the other side of this. See, we are not all the same. We are actually all individual gig business operators. We are operating individual gig operated businesses. So we are all different. Our goals are different. Our revenue goals are different. So we don't have the same goals. So my value and your value do not have to align. But here's the cool part about it though. In the eyes of the apps, we're all individuals anyways, regardless of what the foolish will tell you. And the foolish will tell you this without even having any results or numbers. They'll laugh at you. They'll tell you this, they'll tell you that, they'll tell you that it doesn't matter. They'll tell you that you're oh, that's ridiculous. You're my order. If I accept an order or decline an order, it's going to affect, it doesn't have any effect. It has no effect whatsoever. You are an individualized market of one. If you go and look at DoorDash's own structure of how they dispatch orders, if you go look at Grubhub, if you go look at Uber Eats, you are a market of one based on your stats, based on your location, based on your past history. No one person will ever have the same one thing. No one person is ever going to be the same. It's impossible there's ever a tie anywhere in the gig economy, ever. You have no ties. There are no ties. It's impossible. because we are all different. We are all at different locations. We will all have different amounts. We will all have different averages. We will all have different everything, and we will never see those stats unless we're taking those stats ourselves, which is why I'm encouraging and have encouraged everyone to keep track of your stats. Figure out how to do it. Figure out what works with you. If you followed my videos, and I'm going to continue to put them out, I have advocated that the easiest way to do it over time is learn to do it while you work. That's what I do. But you can also take 4 course screenshots, which you can then take those 4 course screenshots while you're working and use those later on to record the information you need. That will then give you the knowledge that you need to make better, more informed decisions. That should be your goal every single day, is to make better, more informed decisions. That needs to be the goal. That needs to be the goal. Give me 1 second, guys. I got to take a brief second. I'm getting a text and I got to make a call really quick, but give me 1 second. All right, guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. Anyways, so what I was saying was essentially that one of the key things you have to do as a gig business operator is you need to make sure that you're collecting data that you can make decisions on, that you can make yourself a better educated and more informed decision maker. Now you're going to get a lot of people that are going to come to you, or there's going to be people around that you may see comment, or you may see say in a live when they're debating this type of stuff, and they may say, "Wait a minute, it's gig work. What are you talking about? It's simple. It's accept or decline." It is. There's a lot of things that are just accept or decline. Um, there's a lot of things that are accept or decline in the world, but the idea is when you hit accept or decline, you want to have the best information that you can have when you're hitting accept or decline. You want to have the best information when you're hitting accept or decline. You want to be able to make the most profitable decisions for your business when you're utilizing the accept or the decline button, correct? And that's why the only way to do that, because the apps don't give it to you, you come into the GigTube space, you're going to get some people that are going to say, okay, let me try to give you some information. But a lot of times you're getting more drama than you're getting information nowadays when you come to GigTube. If you go to a Reddit forum, maybe you'll get some information. But the best place for you to get information is for yourself, from yourself. And the best information you can get is from your own experience because being that you're a market of one, the only information that really matters is about you and what you're seeing on a day to day basis, not someone else. That's the uniqueness of the gig economy, of the gig world. They have created a workspace that is no longer dependent on everyone else. It's dependent on one person, the person running the apps, the owner of the phone. That is the only person that matters in the occasion. Awesome. Awesome, All Smash. I'm glad you do. And that is good because you should do that. You need to do that. Expenses and earnings. Yep. Absolutely. And that's what you need to do because you need to be aware of what you're actually earning and what you're actually making at the end of the day because that can be surprising for some people. Um, for myself, and again, I'll get into this a little bit later in more detail, but for me, my expense ratio that, and again, I'm driving a Prius, so the expense ratio is reflected in the money I make after all expenses. But I'm bringing in about 67% of what my gross revenue is. So I have about 33% expenses. That's from taxes. That's now again at the end of the year, or at the end of the quarter, I'm bringing back a little bit of that tax money I'm setting aside, but I'm setting aside a certain amount because I always want to be prepared. And then I can always reinvest that money sitting in a savings account. I can always reinvest that money back into the business if my tax bill ends up smaller. But I'm setting aside about 33% of what I'm earning for car expenses, gas expenses, and taxes. Three things that could put me out of business. Well, two things could put me out of business. The taxes could cause a lot of problems for me if I get behind on my tax bill. Don't want to do that ever because that's not a place you want to live. And my goal is to try to get as close to 75% as I can, and break into that. And that's going to come from again, trying to make better decisions because that's what in better decisions from the standpoint of not allowing myself to generate as many dead miles, um, helping to close the gap between my dead time and, I mean, that's the real killer is that we decide, I don't know, guys. Hopefully, I'm back. I don't know what happened to my connection. It just cut off. So I assume I'm live and back again. Um, I see one person in the chat. If someone is in there, let me know if you can hear me. I'm gonna have to do a test, I guess, on this here. We'll see if I'm live on YouTube or not before I get started again. I don't know if the whole chat went down or not. Hello? Okay, good. I am live on YouTube. Oh, there you are. Okay, oh, Smash, you're there. Thank you. So anyways, I guess that was that was the Gig App's way of trying to silence any type of talk about trying to help drivers become better educated on themselves and making money. But anyways, point of the matter is we are gig business operators. That is the first pillar that we have to understand. And that is reflected in the actual gig or the actual TOS agreements. It's acknowledged by the apps themselves. So understanding and embracing that is the very first thing we have to do. So we have to change how we talk about ourselves. We need to go and make sure that when we're talking publicly about ourselves, we are not saying, I work for DoorDash. Even if you only work for one app, you're still a gig business operator using only one app to generate the revenue for your gig business. That's what we need to say. That's the first thing. The second thing we need to do is we need to ask that those contracts that we have signed be enforced correctly. So that's the thing that is very, very important, is we make sure that we're not asking for any. See, this is the part that frustrates me. It gets lost more when debates are happening and people are talking, is they think, hey, you're asking to get something. No, I'm not asking to get anything extra. I'm simply asking that the structure of the contract that I have already signed is simply enforced. That's it. I'm simply saying that they're holding my money. They've claimed that they're going to negotiate with me and let me know, and that I have a stake in discussing with them what that is. And they need to show me what that amount is. And then I need to be in a position through the way the contract states, which is show me upfront what you're asking me to give you for services on this particular delivery. And I say yes or no. And then I say no. They show me another contract. Eventually, because they are going to be concerned with doing business with me specifically, they will find a contract that I will be happy with. They will find the amount together. We will work together with the AI, and that's the part. It's not even really something that I guess needs to have any more than just simple transparency, because it will allow me to then decide as a gig business operator, do I want to give them X amount, 20% of am I okay receiving 5% of the monies that have been collected on my behalf? If I am, fine, plus the tip. Or am I okay with getting 15% of what they've collected on my behalf? Or do I want 60%? Or do I want 70%? Whatever it is. And whatever it is, they may say, well, guess what, Dad Dash? You're not going to get many orders if you're expecting us to only charge you 30% for our services. So you can sit there and you're probably not going to get any orders today. If you happen to be the last guy sitting in the parking lot, maybe you're getting it at that rate. But at least I would have the information in front of me to be in a position to make that decision. And that is the most important thing, is having that information in front of you to be able to see it, to be able to assess, just like the contract says. And if the apps do that, I believe that the market will change drastically. And you will start to see that. Listen, the real cost that DoorDash believes and holds out to the public. See, the second part of this that we're not seeing is DoorDash, and this is the part that is missed by the average everyday driver. These apps, and I keep saying DoorDash, but DoorDash is the biggest app. But the apps are going to the merchant, they're going to the customer, and they're holding out that there's a certain amount. And specifically, it's really the merchant. That's also part of the money that's being paid to DoorDash to get the delivery facilitated. Because remember, there's four parties to a delivery transaction. Well, there should be three, but there's a fourth, which is the app themselves, because they are in the middle as the technology platform that allows for the whole operation to take place in the first place. But the customer provides all the money. It, it boom, exactly, Hawk Smash. It is very similar, but it's not the same. But it is similar. And again, it's similar in the sense that they should have to. But it's similar. I think what it really is, though, Hawk Smash. You have to think of it like this. It's like you got to take the W-2 out of it. It's we are shopping at a store. They are providing a service for us. It's no different than, like, let's say your cable provider is providing you a cable service so you can watch TV. You get a bill every month that tells you all of the costs that they charged you so you could operate, so you could watch TV at your house. Now, you're not using that for business purposes, but sometimes you are, but you get a bill for the services. You have to think of the apps as a service provider to your business. Now, you could absolutely, many will say, yeah, well, you could go, yeah, you're right. You could go and develop relationships external to the apps and get paid and then use the apps as a filler. I mean, that's all the way you want to operate your business. But you have to think of it as they are obligated to show you what it is. Now, here's the thing, right? It's deeper than that, right? That's afterwards. We're saying, show me it, but that's afterwards. The issue is they're negotiating, they're asking us to be parties to a legal contract between us, the merchant, the customer, and then they're in the middle. And really, we're contracting. I guess it's really contracting DoorDash, because DoorDash says, well, the apps say the driver really isn't a party. They're not sitting at the table. We're not all negotiating together because they take agency over us. But it's really, the issue is, how can we agree to a contract that we don't have adequate information to agree to? That is the issue. It is not an issue of a dasher overreaching and saying, I want more money. No, it's saying they're asking us to make a legal binding contract with them, providing them with agency to collect money for us. And then we are basically saying, take whatever you want. Take whatever you want. We don't, we're just going to show you, they're going to show us a potential amount, but they don't break it down. They don't tell us what's tip. They don't tell us what's our actual pay. And the tip is not actual pay. Whether people believe it or not, or want to like it or not, look at your TOS. It tells it to you in there. The tip is something that they use. Again, we're paying them for the ability to offer the customer the ability to either tip us at the door when we drop off the product, or to use their payment services to transfer the money to us, but to which then that becomes part of the service they provide. The services the apps are providing is safe and secure payment transactions for money to move around the transaction. They're providing us with support. They're providing us with computer technology, which comes through our phone, which gives us the ability to see all the information we need for the order. And they're giving us and we're paying for them to market our services. So when they can transmit that we are out at point A on the map, and they're then marketing our business around and say, okay, there's a delivery driver in this area. And then they come in and they say, okay, here you go. Here's an opportunity. And the problem is they'll show us $8 when the reality is it might be a $30 valued opportunity. But $6 is tip, $2 is base pay, the rest is going to DoorDash. It shouldn't be shown that way. It should be shown you have a $38 opportunity. We are going to pay you $6. There's a $6 tip. We're going to pay you $2 and we get to keep the rest. And do you want this opportunity? And any driver that's got any sense whatsoever would be like, what? No way. Sorry, decline. And then they would come back. And eventually they would have to share more of that money, because drivers would be declining orders like that all over the place until the relationship evened out. But because they keep all of that in the back room locked up, and they say, and they've got drivers believing that they are paying us, that is the biggest misconception. That is the problem people have with understanding. When I was on the live the other day with Cherry, all of those guys on that panel were believing that the money was DoorDash's. It's not. It's the drivers. It's the driver's money. They're collecting the money on our behalf. And the issue has to do not with that DoorDash shouldn't get something. We're not talking about sharing DoorDash's profits. We're talking about the money before DoorDash ever gets it. It's not in DoorDash's hands. It's not in Uber's hands. It's not in Grubhub's hands. It's not in Walmart's hands. It's in our businesses. And then we pay them. And it's when we complete the transaction that the money goes to them. So we are the ones in the driver's seat. And they want us to believe that we are small and insignificant, but we're the biggest, most insignificant piece. Now, the thing that everybody's got to understand, though, is they are working hard. They are working very hard to eliminate that issue for them. They're working very hard to take the driver out of it, the driver expense out of it. And they want to do that before it becomes aware to everyone exactly how this is working, before the government and everybody comes in and, and again, having the government involved is not necessarily the solution we necessarily want. And we don't want them coming in thinking that it's an employee thing. Look at what's about to happen over in Europe right now. I just saw it come through. They are going to make them de facto employees. That's what their solution is. De facto employees. And Uber's already said, okay, that's it, done. You're going to lose a majority of the workforce. Fares are going to go up. I mean, half of that will happen. But the bottom line is that that's not necessarily the best solution, because making them de facto employees. Well, yeah, but Hawk Smash, you have to understand, right? They don't want to do all that negotiating, but they have to do that negotiating. Or guess what? See, here's the thing. There's a solution for the apps that the apps don't want. That is, it's not that they would have to do all that negotiating. They would just have to make a fair offer. That's it. They would just have to make a fair offer. That is it. And when they make that fair offer, they make less. More drivers are going to accept more. They're going to make less, and then they're going to have to do what they're supposed to do in a business cycle, which is go out and try to figure out how to find more customers so they can make more money, because they're not going to be able to keep the money that they're not entitled to. That is not going to that they're paying is going to the driver in the first place. They're holding out that they're collecting this money on behalf of their driver's business. And of course, they're also collecting maintenance fees too. They're collecting maintenance fees from the customer, from the restaurant, and then they're also collecting our money. The money is tremendous. Now, what they're doing is, because one of the most tremendous expenses that you have right now is the research and development to be able to perfect the AI technology needed to run these operations without humans needing to be there, besides an engineer that maybe rides around or is in a local hub as they're riding these cars all around and all about. That technology we know exists. We know there's been issues with rolling it out. We know I remember being in Las Vegas and having the option to either have a live driver or a self-driven car. I would always choose live driver, because I was like, as neat as that sounds, I'd rather have a driver. I'd rather be paying a human being to drive me than some self-driven vehicle, which my understanding is there's a human being in there anyways that they were having to pay to monitor the system, and that's the level of the technology. But they're putting that money towards that. And the race is before they have to negotiate with humans, before they have to do this fairly, before they have to actually show you the money and give you a fair negotiation with your accept or decline. They could do that, I think, by having a certain amount of drivers in different markets. That way they come. Well, of course. Well, listen, Hawk Smash, they could already be making a profit if they weren't trying to invest the money away. See, listen, here's the problem. They're not making profits right now because they're not showing the profits, because the money's being spent. See, if this was a business that they were saying, we are wanting to operate the service, the delivery driver business, and we wanted to create a sustainable marketplace for years to come, then they would have plenty of money right now, because even if they were paying the drivers fairly. And what they would be trying to do is get as many good drivers in the market as possible, experienced drivers, provide as many services as possible, and then they could charge more because then they can bring more value to the driver because we're using that app. But see, they're not in it for that. They're in a rush to the bottom to pay the driver as little as possible, and they don't care about the driver. They don't care if the driver gets better. They don't care if the driver is willing to is going to be here in 10 years because their plan is it won't be. The plan is the driver will be eliminated in 10 years. And that's what the asinineness is of the idea that, well, drivers are another driver's my competitor. Yeah, you're going to eliminate the drivers. You'll be eliminated too one day. You'll be eliminated too one day. But the bottom line is that if the apps themselves were actually operating for purposes of wanting drivers to be around for the long term, they would be profitable. But what they're doing now is they're saying, okay, we want to appear unprofitable, which is another excuse to make drivers believe we can't afford to pay them or properly pay them. And it's another reason why they say, well, this is why we need to keep driver pay low. And then then say, okay, look, we're losing money. And the reality is the money is really there, but it's being funneled away in data storage information, data analytics, having the engineers, hiring in, the engineers to be able to come in and continue to work and perfect the algorithm and on top of that, they're doing two things. They're trying to perfect an algorithm that they can then take and put into other industries to help figure out what motivates and gets people to work for less and work and to get people, and we shouldn't even say less, but it's to work towards the company's bottom line instead of their own. Okay, that's what they're really trying to do. It's what every goal of every company is. How do you get people, groups of people, to work towards your outcome instead of theirs? And that's what we all do, whether you're at a W-2 or you're out here. But really, when you're out here, the reason why it's so egregious that it's being done out here is because we are supposed to be working towards our own outcome as individualized delivery businesses. Now, imagine if you can go into a market, take that algorithm, and go to a group of businesses and control how they're working and make them work towards an outcome external to the business. That's not necessarily in the business's interest, but you got to think larger to who would be using something like that. And that's where these companies are using that information, and then they know they're going to have value in their algorithm, and then they're going to have value in the idea that they themselves can then eliminate the need to ever have to negotiate labor because they will control the labor force by essentially getting rid of the labor force and replacing it with something they control and own. Now, of course, that's a one-sided profit-driven approach that you could debate whether or not it holds up in the long term, because again, as anybody with any basic economics understanding is the people that are out here working are also the people that are out here consuming. So if you eliminate the workforce, you also eliminate the ability for people to consume the items you're creating, and you have a quagmire that creates out of that. But again, we're dealing with the one aspect of how these apps are operating and what their goal is. And their goal is to simply maximize their profits and eliminate their expenses and create maximum efficiency. And maximum efficiency is code for eliminating the cost of labor. The biggest expense of a business is its labor cost. So the best way to become an efficient business is minimize labor, minimize the cost it takes for your business to produce. And that's what these apps are doing. That's what these apps are doing, and that's what they're designed for. And the thing is, right, is they're getting, like, this should be the other part that should be pissing people off, is the fact that not only are they masquerading as a service for your business that's supposed to be helping you earn money for your business, but instead it's trying to confiscate the revenue from your business. But it's also getting you to provide it the data it needs to create further business opportunities and further opportunities for it to develop its systems, that without that data, without the human data, without the data that you're giving it every single day, driving around, providing it, interacting with its app, without that data, it would never be able to develop the technology to replace the driver. So it's two-pronged. Normally what they would have to be doing is for research like that, it would be far more expensive because they would have to pay people to come in and work in an engineered environment. And they would need to pay millions of people to do it. If you listen to AI and the way AI is programmed, it takes millions and actually billions and trillions of data points for it to be honed in. And they're getting all of that for free. And not only are they getting it for free, but they're also able to come into a market like the delivery market where revenue is being generated, where they're holding out to restaurants and they're holding out to customers, that they're going to be that they're going to be having delivery drivers come out and deliver food for them, and they're holding out the cost of that. They're getting the customer to pay it. They're getting the restaurant to part with some of the money that they're getting for having food orders delivered instead of being served in their dining rooms. And then they're taking that money and they're holding back a large portion of it while the driver over here thinks they work for the app. So the driver's not just giving away their revenue, the driver's giving away their personal information too, completely for free. And then getting mad at everyone else but themselves because they're not paying attention to the information that's right in front of them, to the contract that's right in front of them that tells you you're giving it away. And they're not demanding more. And yes, they give you a way to negotiate, and that's why they get out of it. That's why they get out of the legal liability. But what I'm saying is that the one thing they're not doing right now is they're not and that's on the revenue side, is they are not showing us the information they should be showing us to make sure that that negotiation is fair. And that is absolutely imperative to saying you have a legally binding contract. Is you have to make sure both parties were able to make a knowledgeable decision with equal information, just like it lays out in the contract or in the TOS. They have to. Both parties have to have it all, but one party can't hold it back. One party can't be hiding things in the darkness and then saying, "Well, you made it." So therein comes the rub. But of course, what have they done? They've put in a arbitration agreement, or arbitration clause. See, what they've done is they've said, if you discover this, if you decide to go challenge this, because there's a clause in each state constitution. It's called the due process clause, and anytime there's a legal contract, there's something there is a requirement that procedural due process. In other words, that both parties clearly understand and can't be withholding information or information that could damage the other person financially. And in the case of DoorDash is withholding information that damages the dasher. Therefore, they're in violation of the state of every state that they're operating in's due process clause, and the nature of the violation is in accordance with procedural due process. And the issue at hand is that as long as that is occurring, the contracts that we're all signing every single day, the millions of contracts, are absolutely potentially challengeable and potentially are illegal. Now, the problem is, to break through that, is they have individualized everything. So right now, it would take individual dashers to go and challenge that. But first they're going to have to do is they're going to have to break the arbitration clause, which of course is kind of easily breakable because of the nature and the way they present it to you, meaning they present your TOS to you at the beginning of your shift at a time when you don't have the ability to fully understand what's going on, and you could challenge that. But it would take a challenge in court. And then on top of that, now you break that, you've got to break enough of them and then get that group of people together. So they wrap it up in a way that keeps everybody separated and makes it very difficult. It makes it a very difficult road to trow. And then take it on top of that, that the very people that are having this done to them are already in a financial bind, probably themselves. They don't have the time to wait around for that for all of that to happen. They need money now. So they're just going to go back to work and say, well, I'll take whatever I can get from the apps. I'll try to figure it out. But the bottom line is the rug is going to get pulled out from under everyone that's relying on these things, these apps. The rug is going to get pulled. The rug will be pulled out from under every dasher and every person out here using these apps at some stage down the road, unless we stop the process that they're in right now and we understand the power we have at this moment. We will never be more powerful than the moment we are at right now. And yes, wakey, I saw what you said here. Artificial intelligence, it has, right? But, but it's been training. But what they're able to do with the gig apps is they've created essentially a lab environment to where they can target us and they can experiment more so than they can when they have people independently making choices to interact with app A or app B or website B or website C. They know they've created the environment for us to need to come in and individually deal with these apps. And coming in and dealing with these apps on a daily basis, they know every day I'm coming back to deal with it. When I decide I'm going to earn money from these apps, they now know that they've got me. And I'm essentially coming in here and for free giving away my information, number one. And two, coming in and using them supposedly as a service that's going to help me make money. And they're sitting here for all practical purposes doing the opposite of that. And you may say, hey, wow, that's your decision. Well, it is, right? But my point is that we need to make sure that everybody entering this space understands the space they're in. And as Torp says, know your environment, know what's around you. Don't believe these apps got your back, because they don't got your back. You got to have your own back. And can you make money? Yes. Okay. Now, is the money you're going to make worth what you have to do to make the money? Well, that's your own decision you have to make. Is the instability and the risk and the liability potential and all of that, is that worth laying down a W-2 job that you're making good money at to come here? Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. People come to this for various reasons and various situations. And I believe there are scenarios that this is perfect. But you better understand what you're doing. You better understand how to do it. You better approach this with a business sense, and you better have an idea of exactly what you expect to get back out of it. And you better also be in a position that you know that you have a plan for if and when this doesn't become a sustainable form of income for you in the way that you have it positioned in your life, whether that's as extra money on top of a W-2, whether that's allowing you to go part-time at a W-2, whether that's, whatever form it takes in your life. But you better have a plan. You better have a plan and be prepared. And you better be understanding what it is that you're operating in and what it is that you're doing and who it is that you're and what their goal and outcome is. Because if you're sitting here believing that these apps are going to give you more money because you're accepting more money, if you believe that running your car into the ground is somehow going to give you some big payout at the end of the rainbow when you get up the top dash, you're going to find out, like a lot of people have, that no, that's not what's going to make you money. What's going to make you money is figuring out how to utilize all of those things, but do it in the smartest, most profitable way, and figuring out what you need for your situation, for where you work, for what you're seeing. Well, wakey, I hear you on that. Outsmart the algo. That's going to be difficult. to do probably. Um, but because the algorithm is computing data at such a fast rate, um, that that's going to be a challenge. But what you can do, yes, is try to make sure you're in the best position to react to the algorithm and what the algorithm's sending you. Absolutely. And to be able to recognize, is the offer in front of me, does it make sense? And understand that the algorithm will never give you anything that isn't something it perceives as being in its benefit. That the emoji on the screen telling you a high paying order isn't telling you a high paying order in the way you might humanly think a high paying order is, which for everybody else that might be, well, that's a $12 order. That's a big paying order. No, in DoorDash's world, that could be a $4 2 mile order because it's looking at the miles to money aspect. Now, some would say, well, that's all that matters, miles to money. That's all that matters in delivery driving. But the point of the matter is, from DoorDash's perspective, they want to play with your perception, and their end game is for them to end up in a better place, not you. So you have to ensure that you end up in that better place. You have to ensure that you use the app as long as you need to hit your financial goal for the day and then move on. You don't need to come back. You don't need to do 100 orders unless that benefits you in some way. If there's a program you want to qualify for, great, qualify for it. If you think having that program available to you makes a difference to you, then do it. But also be assessing, be looking, make sure it's having the financial impact that you think it's having. Because maybe the better thing is to focus on trying to expand the apps that you have, the opportunities that you have, and just simply focus on getting valuable orders. Whether that's a $30 1 mile order, or like yesterday, I had a $53 6 mile order. Right, that's great. But I also had yesterday a $10 1 mile order. That was great too. I could earn money off both of those. But if I got, you know, if I spent my entire day getting $10 1 mile orders, I could still have a fantastic day. But it's what's available. And the idea that I would say, let me go and drive 150 miles to get to that 50 for 6, no, that doesn't make any sense. But that's what DoorDash would lead you to believe. Hey, drive more, and then we're sending you this $50 order every year for 6, and it'll put you at about $1.15 a mile. Well, no, I'd rather be in a position to where I can drive less and still make my $100 or $150 that I'd make at the end of the day, and be at a better miles to money, be at a better expense ratio. And I can tell you, as somebody who has tried out different methods and programs, especially in June, when I watched my expense ratio drop to its lowest ever, when I watched my miles drop to below $1 a mile for the first time, it was the only month I've ever been at below $1 a mile for the time, and that was a month I went after Top Dasher, and I only drove for 23 days. Well, the first 23, I didn't drive all 23, but I mean, I was only active for the first 23 days of the month. Imagine if I would have done the other 7 days, it would have been even worse. My expense ratio that month was sitting at 59%. It was terrible. And that's me driving a Prius. That's because of all the miles I had to drive. But I was following the DoorDash algorithm. I was following what DoorDash asked me to do. And guess what? Did I make money? Yeah, I'm not saying I didn't make money. I mean, if you look at my money, but my hold on a second. All right, I guess we can. I'm not going to do that. Decline that. Anyways, I don't like, by the way, I don't like Chick-fil-A, that the particular Chick-fil-A. I will not go to that place for less than $10 because it is horrible to get in and out of, and their orders are never ready. But anyways, back to the top. But the point is, the expenses drove down. My expense ratio went down. My money, I didn't necessarily make too far off. I think money for the month was only maybe $200 less than a normal month, my normal average. But my take home was significantly less by almost 12, 13%. or no, it wouldn't be 12, 13, by about 9%, I guess, because I know I lost about 8% on my expense. That was significant, when you're talking about uh, the overall. So to me, that is significant. We have to work for our benefit. We can't work for the benefit of the apps, but we can't work for our benefit if we don't know what our benefit is, if we don't know how we're doing, if we don't have the information we need to set our own goals. If we don't know when to quit, we're never quit. And if we rely on the apps to tell us when it's time to quit, they'll have you working forever. And the first reason why you should have joined the gig economy, at least, unless you're someone who found it because you lost a job or something, but if you were leaving a job to come here, it should have been, as everybody says, freedom, the freedom to quit. But as everybody will tell you, as Roy likes to point out, and it's a very valid point, you can't quit. The apps keep you. They do keep you working, but they keep you working if you're letting them try to guide you on how to stop working. It's the point I tried to make on the live the other day, which got lost, and that is, I am not saying I at any time have ever done 30 DoorDash orders in a day. Never. I've never done 30 orders in a day. I do between 10 and 15 orders a day, and I will make anywhere from probably 100. I'd say about 150, 160 bucks to about $300, somewhere in that range, depending on the day. And I will do 10 to 15 orders a day when I'm working a full day. Those are my numbers. And that's the range. But I understand that the apps would love me to double those numbers. And they want you to double those numbers. And if you follow their program, you're going to double your numbers. You're going to do more orders. You're going to do, now, in all fairness, I look at stacks as one contract. I look at it as a contracted offer. So if an app offers me 2 orders at one time, I look at that as one contract. So perhaps maybe I'm a little higher than the 10 to 15. Maybe I'm 15 to 13 to 20, depending on how many double stacks I'm doing in a day. That, or offers that turn into stacks. But the bottom line is, I'm not going to do 30 or 40 or 50. That's not my goal, at least. And if I'm doing that many, I expect to be making $500-600 if I'm driving my car around that much. If I'm putting the miles on my car like that, and you should too. And the matter of the fact is if this is a business to you, then your car is an asset. Then your phone is an asset. Your delivery bag is an asset, and you should be protecting your assets. And you protect your asset by working at times when it's valuable, when you will get the most out of what you're putting into your business. And if you don't understand that, you will come to understand it, maybe not even understanding you're understanding it, but you will understand that. It will be a feeling you have. You will be recognizing that your car is breaking down and you will not have felt like you got the value out that you needed. You won't have gotten the money that you needed out on a given day. You will feel stressed out. You will feel upset. You will feel mad at the world. You will be blaming the merchants. You will be blaming the apps. You will be blaming other dashers. You will be blaming the glitch. You will be blaming everything you can blame because you're not doing what you need. You're not producing what you need. But you can. You've just simply got to stop worrying about blaming other people. You've got to stop figuring out why it doesn't work and figure out how to make it work. That is what you have to do. That is the approach. And you have to stop looking to external places to make it work. And you've got to figure out, how do I take the apps on my phone and make them make what I need? And you can do it. Other people are doing it. Other people that have stopped saying, I'm going to worry about that. And maybe you don't like the methods they did. I am not sure, wakey. I understand that it can be significant. I think I've heard it could be as much as a couple $1,000. That's what I've heard. But again, I'm setting aside money, okay, per mile that I drive, right? I'm preparing for the day that I have a several $1,000 um, auto repair, right? If I drive, listen, I put 10 cents for every mile driven aside in the bank towards car maintenance. On top of that, I'm saving a certain amount. I'm over saving on my taxes. So I'm giving myself a refund. It's sitting in a savings account now. All right. And then on top of that, I'm setting aside my gas every single day. I give it back to myself. And all that comes out before I touch my money that goes and buys anything else that I need for my family, for whatever bill that I need to do. So I know, listen, the scary your car runs down is if you're not recognizing that fact and putting the money aside. If you're not accounting for that, what's accounting, right? Accounting is accounting for whatever, right? That's what the definition of accounting is. You're accounting for your expenses. You're accounting for your risk. Account for your risk. Set aside what you think you might spend. And then guess what? If I don't spend all the money I set aside for my car, I got a down payment for the next car, right? Or I got the next expense fund set up. But hopefully, if I'm buying a car, I'm not going to buy brand new, but I'll buy close to new, and I'll make sure the doggone thing is not going to be needing service right away. But I have options of what I want to do with that money. And the point of the matter is we all can do that because you have to recognize again, part of the business mindset and frame of mind is that the money that hits your account at the end of every day, whatever I make today, right? It's not mine to spend yet until I account for what I need to account for, including the cash flowed amount that I'm allowed to spend now. And I set aside the money I need to set aside. And you say, well, I can't do it. You can do that. See, if you're at a W-2, it's already happening. That might be for, they're setting aside the money for your taxes. They're setting aside the money for your retirement. They're setting aside the money for your benefits, your insurance benefits. All that's getting set aside. And they're doing it. Again, if you can't handle that, that's a sign that you shouldn't be responsible for that. You got to have the discipline to do that. And you shouldn't be doing this if you don't have the discipline. And there, Awesome Ash, that's good. Whatever it is that works for you. There is no one right calculation. You're the one that determines what's right. Your bank account determines what's right. Your moment when you have an emergency and you cover it or you don't determines what's right, what's not. And if you don't have enough, you've got to go and you've got to increase the amounts and you've got to prepare next time better. And if you have too much, well, that's a good thing to have happen. Just make sure that whatever you have is sitting in a savings account somewhere that's generating something for you and you're fine. And I'm not giving financial advice here, just to put that out in case anybody hears this. I'm just giving suggestions about what I do and talking about what I do. But those are the things you should do. Those are common sense things that should be being done, and you'll be fine. And then at the end of the day, you can really take a hard look at the numbers and say, do these make sense? Does this make sense? Is this a way to earn that makes sense for me? Or should I be doing something else? Should I be finding another way? Because at the end of the day, when I have to account for everything that I need to account for, am I making enough? Am I making enough? And if you're not, well, there it is. That's just what it is. There's two ways you approach it. You either decide to say, hey, you know what? I'm closing off shop and I'm going to find another way. Or B, you adjust and you change. But you sure as hell never do the same thing over and over again. You sure as hell don't get mad, walk out and keep doing the same thing and then say, well, I don't understand why it's not working. Oh, well, I'm doing it. The reason why what I'm doing isn't working is because all these other people are cheating or doing it some way that's different. No, the reason why you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, or the reason why you're not getting success, is because you're not making changes. You're not reacting. You're not reacting to what the market's telling you. And the market is you. The market is your phone. What's up, Bracket Gaming, man? Welcome. So you've got to be willing to react to what's happening around you. And how you react is whether or not you're successful or not. How you react will determine whether or not you have success. And someone's success, a lot of people think that success, someone that's successful, that it's a sum of all their success, that it's because of all the success they've had. No, you know what it is? If you look in the world, if you look at the world, if you look around you, if you talk to any of these billionaires out here and people that have been, they will tell you that their success is a sum of their failures and how they reacted to those. Most people that are successful fail hundreds of times. The spotlight most of the time is never on those failures until they have had a big success, and then everybody wants to know how they got there, and then they're going to talk about all the things they did for that particular success. What they won't talk about is all the things that they failed at prior to that that gave them the tools to be successful. And that's what you have to be willing to do out here. And a lot of people aren't willing to do that. They're not willing to fail. And as long as you're blaming another person for your failure, as long as the problem isn't you and you're not going into your business to figure out what your problem is, why you're not making money, then you will continue to not make money. And what anyone knows that's been in any type of a business or any type of a place where there's a lot of people and a lot of employees is normally the unsuccessful people, the unhappy people, really flock together. Unhappiness, negativity becomes it becomes glue and it attracts. It's the sugar that attracts the ants and the flies and everybody. And they all flock together and they all come together and they just love it. And then they find out that they weren't successful. And then they all just tell each other, it's not your fault. And then they all talk about it. You see that person, and then all of a sudden the conspiracies start to grow, right? All around it must be, and it's so great to know other people have failed. The one thing you don't hear them talking about ever is how to get better, or hey, tell me what happened, or how could we get better? You hear them talking about why the people that are successful aren't actually successful, shouldn't be successful. Well, figuring out, hey, there's got to be a reason why. It can't be that maybe they're doing something. It can't be that, hey, why don't we go tap them on the shoulder, bring them over to the group and listen to them and find out what they did. Well, why don't we look at the issues we're having and try to look at how we can turn those issues into something positive, into a lesson that helps us then become part of the successful. And the whole purpose behind the idea of collecting data, and I am only an advocate of spreadsheets because they're free, okay? Because I don't know how to create apps, programmer. So the easiest way for me to suggest to someone to do this without heavy expenses is to go into the Google Sheets app, or if you want to use Excel or you want to use numbers on iPhone, and spreadsheet your stuff out. And it's easy. And it'll give you all the information you need. And it's 100% free. And it's on your phone at all times. And it can be on your Android. It can be on your iPhone. It can be on your computer. It can be on your tablet. And you'll have access to the information everywhere you're at. And you'll be able to collect the data that you want to collect. And the sheets I have, I give away for free, 100% free, because they're meant to do one of two things. Either use them for yourself if you find them to be useful. They are a reflection of my journey. They're a reflection of what I find important. Might not be what you find important, but they're also a starting point. You can tear them apart. You can totally revamp them. The only thing I ask is keep them free. If you decided to use a portion, and then of course, come back and share what you're doing. Share what you're using. Share your new creation so that we can all learn in here. It doesn't mean we're going to do what you're doing, but it does mean that it can be helpful. And to me, that is an absolutely huge part of being successful, is learning from other people's experiences, whether they're successful or whether they're failures. And the biggest lie that will ever be told is that someone is successful all the time, because most of the time, anybody that tells you they're hitting 100 is probably hitting 10% of the time. But to win overall, to hit the big one, doesn't necessarily mean you got to hit 100% of the time. You might only have to do it 1% of the time. But when you hit that 1%, you really hit it out of the park. But the bottom line is we have to begin to think of ourselves as gig business operators, that we are operating a gig business with the purpose of making profit, with the purpose of working to our bottom line. Once we do that, once we agree to that, we then need to do two things. One, start operating and asking for more. Two, start to work towards taking the reform speak and saying, we really don't need that much reform besides the fact that we need to see the contracts and understand the money that's floating around. And then at the same point, begin to create whatever carve outs we need to support the ultra small business that we are as gig business operators. In other words, if there is a way that we can get some help that would make benefits, because we don't have the scale of employees to negotiate with health for health insurance. We don't have the scale for those type of things, that we can then somehow get a classification that would allow for us to get some sort of more affordable options for that, if this is something that we have to do. Thank you, Mr. Funkadelic. Appreciate that, man. Everybody can go over to Cherry Pick. Head on over. You too, Mr. Funkadelic. Have a good day. But appreciate you dropping in nonetheless. Thank you. Anyways, point is, we have to have the discussions around that. We have to have those discussions around that area, around how we can help to create the infrastructure that will support the gig community, that will support the gig business operator that's out here operating. And because of scale issues, because we can't be a scalable business where we're going to have, employer. I mean, and if you look at it, if you understand how employers get health insurance, and I was part of a company that was growing, there are different points to where health insurance becomes less and less expensive because of the amount of employees that one has. We, as gig business operators, will never have that. We will always be looked at as individuals. But since we're not operating as individuals, we should figure out, and that's what we need to figure out, or have figured out for us, is, okay, how can we figure these things out to make it less expensive if this is something, if the gig business format is going to be something that we're going to have present in our economy for the near future, if we're going to try to make this a sustainable long-term form of business. And if it's not going to be a sustainable long-term form of business, then we need to, of course, address the big issue and the big elephant in the room, and that is the fact that these companies are essentially attempting to use their workforce to create the replacement workforce and stop that process from happening, which is a process that's going to be present in all of business soon, as we start to manage the presence of AI in the everyday business. Because the thing is, the amazing part about the way these things work is people tend to never worry about something that isn't in their living room, right? And then what happens is it shows up in their living room. They don't even realize it's there. And then when the crack happens in their ceiling, or the leak happens in the roof, they're like, oh man, shoot, I better deal with it now. Well, we got to deal with it well before there. And hopefully it is. But when AI shows up at their work, when AI starts threatening their job, they will wake up and they will start to say, wait a minute, this is a problem. But it's unique in the fact that we have this issue that's being dealt with right now, which is gig work, and the way these apps are operating, and what these apps are really doing, and how these apps are essentially trying to stealthily take revenue out of a space of the economy to essentially replace that entire sector of the economy. And then what? I mean, we need people to work to get paid to become individuals that are working and um, and buying the products, ordering the food, ordering the packages to their house. If we don't have people willing, if the people don't have the money to spend because they're no longer working in the economy will no longer work. And that's an issue that has to be dealt with. And again, that's not what we're going to be talking about and getting deeply into because what we're talking about today, my purpose of talking today is simply to talk about what you can do right now. And that is get your messaging right. And then on top of that, make sure you're demanding from the apps your value so that you have your bottom line covered. Well, they are, and that's exactly right, Hawk Smash. But see, the thing is, and this is the overall debate, right? That needs to be in present, and that is this: AI's presence should be there as a complement to the worker. In other words, it should be something that enhances the productivity of the human, right? It should not be there to replace the productivity of a human. So it should be harnessed and kept in that box. And again, as long as we have a profit driven society who values profit over humanity, that's going to be tough to contain. But that's going to be what but humanity will have to deal with that at some stage down the road. Because if you decide to eliminate humans from the equation, then what does that leave? And again, many people will fill in the blanks. Many people will go and fill in the blanks of what that means or what the agenda is behind that or what they're trying to accomplish with that. But the bottom line is that's the question. Where does that leave humanity then? And that's why, that's why, that is why humanity will eventually wake up. But the issue is, will they wake up too late? And it's kind of the question that gig workers have to have. And again, that I'm saying right now, and again, it's funny, Mr. Funkadelic, whoever that is, whatever troll that is, one of Cherry's trolls comes over. But Cherry likes to say that, hey, none of it matters. Hey, I want to look, it does matter. And you go over and you waste your time giving time besides understanding that that's good fun entertainment time, but you go over there and waste your time on his channel where he's making fun of other creators and yelling at people and doing all that stuff. While that's fun for entertainment, you know, whatever his agenda is, and we don't know who anybody is on here, so we don't know what the real agendas are. But you got to question somebody who says, why would anyone spend time with someone who openly says, I don't care about the average worker. I want to see you get deactivated. If I had the opportunity and you're operating in my market, I would try to do, underhanded things to get you deactivated. There's no value there. There's not a value that's being offered. What's the purpose besides just listening to the funniness of that person? But there isn't a value there. And the person that's going to try to tell you not to do that, or to tell you not to listen to these things, or to tell you not to be smart, or to continuously attempt, as he tries to do, as he framed it, to lower your delivery IQ, well, you don't belong in this space, And anybody that's looking to, anyone that's looking to try to get value out of their time here on YouTube, that's not who's going to be attracted there. So to me, that's fine. If somebody says, okay, hey, I want to give time to that thought process, that I'm going to go over here and listen to somebody who doesn't want to help, who wants to hurt others in the space, that's on you. So go be entertained. But isn't that just the way of the way the world's going right now? Let's just be entertained. Let's entertain our way to extinction. And it's funny that entertainment and extinction extinction begin with the same letter. There's probably a reason why that is, because entertainment leads to extinction. Entertainment doesn't lead to any productive value at all. So go be entertained. Go be entertained to extinction. Or come here to my channel and other channels out there that are going to try to help you avoid extinction as a driver. Avoid extinction. And at the same point, hopefully create a long term sustainable market if we can all get on board. And maybe we can't. But hey, I'm going to continue to try to help, and I'm going to continue to try to give the tools. And I'm in a unique situation to do that. I come from a different story background than probably most of the uh, people would find the gig world. And I might not be here forever in this space. But while I am here, I'm going to try to help people. I'm going to try to help people to understand what it means to have a business like approach to something and what you can do and how you can take that and use that to your benefit and make sure that you come out ahead. And then you can also make an assessment of whether or not you're coming out far enough ahead to warrant you staying here. Yep. Well, and again, wakey wakey, we might colonize on Mars. You never know. I mean, it's possible. We have to start to look to. I mean, that's always been something that I found interesting was that we gave up the looking into space because we have to understand that if as humans we're going to continue to multiply. We're multiplying like crazy, and that is the biggest issue. So there's either two ways you're going to approach that. You're either going to find additional space in anticipation, which that is what space is all about. Space, right? Go out, find inhabitable space. Or you have to start to figure out ways to decline your population and stop your population from multiplying at such a fast rate. Either way isn't going to, that is not going to lead anywhere good. So the best way is to do what they're talking about, but you want to also say that it shouldn't be private businesses that we want to have that who has a profit end goal. We should be wanting to have a communal um, approach to that because, again, and that would be government. Government truly, government has been led to be representative of a negative, but that's only because we've allowed it to be that way because we have the most people are not part of government, right? But what is the government? A government of and for the people. Okay. If you understand that part, then the people need to get more involved. The more involved the people are, the better government operates and the less influence one or a small sector of people would have. So, and again, the same is true for the gig world. Get the people involved, the gig people involved, the humans involved. The humans are us, the drivers. And if anybody wants to discredit the power we have a lot of power. And if you're walking around thinking that you don't, that's foolish. Because the driver is the most important piece of all of this. If we don't drive, why do you think so many people try to organize driver walkouts or try to say, hey, let's um let's um let's have a union. Why do you think so many people do that? Why? I'll tell you why. Because they know that the driver is the most important piece to all of this working. They know that the real power lies within the drivers deciding what they're going to accept and decline. That is why they put a program out that says we want to tell you what to accept and decline. And I mean, here's what I think is hilarious, right? You've got guys out here who say, don't trust the government. Don't trust this. I mean, a lot of these guys out here, that they would say, if you came to them and said the government's coming to help you, a lot of them, that is their, that is their, that is their approach. They would never trust the government, but you're going to trust a multinational company to give you a program that gives you the format to which you're supposed to accept the orders. And you're going to say, yeah, let me do that. I'm going to do it exactly like they said. That makes no freaking sense. That makes no freaking sense. Oh, I remember the trucker strike. Yep, or strike during the pandemic. Well, I haven't really followed the whole UPS union thing, so I don't know if Waky's trolling or being serious. So I'm not going to comment on that. But you can let me know what if that was a serious comment or not. But I haven't really paid much attention to it, unfortunately. So I can't intelligently speak on whether they're crushing it or not. It struck me that they were dropping or lowering a lot. That I had seen an article that said they were, you know, I think uh, giving into a lot of stuff, but I'm about 100% versed on that. But the point of the matter is that we as drivers don't need to necessarily, we don't need to unionize. You can't unionize businesses. That's the point. Like you cannot unionize a business. You can't unionize, it doesn't make any sense when you look at how a union works. It's impossible to do these things. But we are a business. And then if you say, well, no, we're employees. Well, who are we employees of? You can't be employees of a service provider. So that's the problem. So we have to recognize the fact we're businesses. And then we have to operate like we're businesses. And then we have to decide, is that a good fit for us or not? Can we make our bottom lines? Can we create enough money on a daily basis to hit our bottom lines? And that's it. But those are the things we need to do. So you need to, if you're talking to somebody, if you're talking to a new driver, you need to tell them to go back and read their TOS. Tell them to be aware of what they are and who they are. Tell them to keep track of their bottom line. Tell them to understand that they need to operate what they're doing like a business, that they need to understand they are not working for any of the apps, that the apps are not their employers, that they work for themselves, and that they need to really, really make sure, take a long, hard look at whether or not this is going to work for them. Is it for them? And that if they do decide it's for them, that they need to begin approaching it like a business. Now, the other things that you need to do, right? We're talking about how you interact with an individual app, right? At the order selection process. The other thing you've got to be doing, in my opinion, is if you're in this for the long term, is even if you only wish for now to work one app, you've got to be signing up other opportunities. You've got to be getting on the wait list. You've got to be building what I call your app folio. And you've got to have the ability that when you're sitting in a parking lot and it's dead on one app, you can turn another app on and then wait a few minutes. And if that app is dead, turn another one on and another one and another one and another one. Okay. Till you have your however many apps you have that you have available, until you see orders starting to come through that you can try to look and see. And eventually you would find an order that would fit, hopefully, your amount that you need to work. And that's how you conquer the gig economy. You don't conquer it using the programs of a company whose bottom line doesn't align with yours, whose goal is to volumize you in a negative way. In other words, to get you to deliver more orders to make the same amount of money that you want. That it's trying to learn that from you. See, that's one of the things you guys have to understand too is, see, it's going to learn, if it's going to notice, like if you're, especially if you're working one app, it's going to really very easily be able to notice the fact that, all right, you make 200, you quit. You make 200, you quit. You make 200, you quit. It's going to start to know over time, this driver likes to make $200 and then they're done. Once it understands your goal and your outcome, it could start working back and reversing that. I have an app that can help anyone in any area that can find other opportunities for you. What app is that? Hulk Smash. What is that? What is that? I mean, there's a lot. I have a boatload of apps on my phone that, I mean, I have all sorts of opportunities from secret shops to going out and taking pictures and taking insurance pictures. I mean, I have boatloads. Now, right now, my six core apps that make the money I need are DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, Spark, Instacart, and Shipt. The app's name is Steady. Okay, Steady. I'll have to check it out. I've never heard of it, but I'm going to definitely check it out and put it in my notes here to check out. I have never heard of SETI before. And it's an app that helps you sign up for like it helps find you other apps that are available in your area to work. Is that pretty much the premise of the app? It's not an actual like it doesn't give you work. It gives you the ability to find other apps and link with other apps. Is that a correct understanding? Okay, gotcha. So it'll actually link you to the website. I'm going to check it out because listen, that is the third prong, right? That is the third thing. That is the thing you should be doing. But you need to be keeping your stats. You need to be making sure you're accepting orders that are well informed decisions, and you need to be building your app folio. You need to be building your revenue sources, and you need to be then using the information as you start to use those additional revenue sources and trying them out and learning them. You need to be also trying to figure out where they are in your playbook. When do they come to play? Yes, it also helps with W-2 jobs or home businesses as well as gig apps. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I know. I've also got a couple apps on my phone too that will give you actually shift work where you can um, go in and work like an 8-hour shift somewhere and it will give you a pre-negotiated amount and you go in. It's pretty much the old temp format, but they've taken it and put it into a gig format, which temp agencies, I guess, in a way, kind of are similar to the way gig works. Gig apps work in a sense, but gig apps are just like a less official version of that process. But we used to use temps in the business I was in when we would have shortages or different times of year, or somebody need to come in and do a file audit for us. They give us the option to get a temp or two that we'd bring in and have them doing different tasks that were not of any type of major uh, gravity, but they would be there. Yes, you got those 10 times. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So to me, like I said, but it's all like if you want to be in operating what we would call a gig operated business. And remember, what is a gig? A gig is simply this. You're just taking piecework. You're taking a short term work opportunity that you make a fixed amount of money and then you cobble it together and you make the amount of money that you need. Um, Wanaloo and InstaWork. I actually have both of those. I don't have much on. I've not done much with either of them, but they're on my phone. I think I've registered for them, but I've never used them or really taken too done much with them because they're not really active in my area. Again, a lot of these apps give me access because I'm close to the city, and it would require me to go down to the city to take advantage of any of the work opportunities they have. But I have them on there. I checked them out, Wanaloo and InstaWork. But I'm going to definitely check out Steady because I'd like to, I like to check them all out. I like to be aware of them, just in case you need something. I mean, you've got to be prepared at all times. Um, let's see here, 6 stops. Oh, we're in the wrong daggone market. No wonder. Just realized I had my zone was not in the correct zone for um, Spark. That's why I haven't been getting any orders. Wow. But anyways, the point of the matter is these are the things that you've got to be doing. These are the things that you've got to be approaching. You've got to be approaching your business this way. That you're building a business. You're building revenue sources. You're preparing for the rainy day. See, that's why if you're a truly business minded individual, then you will know that risk is part of the equation, right? You're never afraid of risk. You prepare for risk. You prepare for the risks and you mitigate your risks. And you mitigate your risks by accounting for the risks in everything that you do. That is a business minded. That's how business works, right? Now, you can't, unfortunately, you're never going to account for all of your risks. And there's always going to be something that comes up maybe that you're unprepared for, but you're going to be prepared to learn from that. But you're going to hopefully have made it so that you haven't received a catastrophic outcome that puts you out of business. And for that, you can, most of the time, if you're approaching things from that vein, that you're looking at your risks from the standpoint of how do I mitigate my risks and how do I account for my risks and how do I prepare for my risks, while at the same time moving forward and not allowing any fear and not ever operating from a position of fear, but a position of preparation. There's a difference. And what I hear a lot of on the gig world, and again, some of it is probably people creating the fear in other people because they think of some outcome that they're going to have that's going to be in some way beneficial to them, or they're just fearful of the risk and they don't know how to deal with it, right? Because they don't really know how to mitigate risks. They don't really have the ideas. They're not certain how to deal with it, so it scares them, and then they live in fear of the risks. And that fear of risk is what will drive them. Correct. And it's the fear. A lot of some of that is right. Some of the risk that you have that you're in fear of can sometimes get in the way of you accepting orders or declining orders because you're afraid, oh my gosh, this might happen, or that fearful mindset, right? Which is why declining an order, you should never be afraid to decline an order, ever. If you believe it's the right order, if you believe it's the right decision, the profitable decision to decline the order, you decline it and you move on, right? That's it. You made that outcome. If you now later on at the end of the day, you can kind of assess your overall all of your decisions. Obviously, your day, a gig worker's day, is the culmination of all the accepts and declines in their day. And then your job at the end of the day is to figure out how did you do? What was the culmination of all your accepts and all your declines? And did it amount to meet your goal for the day? That's it. And the beautiful part about gig work is you're not worrying about anybody but yourself, right? The apps are service providers. You don't have any accountability to them. Your customers are done once the contract's fulfilled. And anything that's going to be any issues that come out of that, are going to be hopefully dealt with by the security measures and things you can deal with if you have to come back and deal with that. In other words, if somebody comes back and says an order wasn't delivered, do you have video of the delivery? And again, these are things I've covered on my channel and will continue to cover, ways you can mitigate those risks. But you should never be afraid of it, right? You should be mitigating these things. You should have dash cams. You should have body cams and these type of things that are there for you to protect you against people that are trying to commit fraud on your business. See, the funny thing is they call it fraud, but it's fraud, right? It's either you're trying to fraudulently defraud your customer by taking their food and getting paid, or B, it's a reverse fraud, right? It's where the customer's committing fraud on your business. So you got to assess that and you got to protect yourself against that. And I can tell you, as somebody who has actually had two separate non-delivered orders against me, both of them retracted within a day. Both of them retracted within a day, and that's because I had the footage. I had the footage. I kept track of the data. I had the times. I had and I was consistent in what I told. I was able to show 3 different views of the delivery on that particular occasion because it was both of them were at night. So I had my body cam that provides a flashlight. I had my camera on my phone and I had my dash camera. And in one of those instances, I was actually on the phone with support while the delivery was going on. And it was just happenstance. But the point is, I protected myself. I mitigated that risk. I don't live in fear of that. I don't want to deal with that. I want to avoid having to waste my time on that because guess what? I only don't like it because of the fact that guess what? If I got to deal with that the next day, if I got to be on phone with support, That's time I would be working. That's time I'd be out here earning money. So that's going to hurt me from that perspective. But I'm not afraid of dealing with it. I'm not going to sit out here and not take orders because, oh, wow, this could happen. I'm going to be prepared on orders that I think might be riskier. I do agree with the assessment. I have always agreed with the assessment that how much skin someone has in the game definitely dictates how smooth an outcome will be. So I do believe there is validity in the idea that if somebody isn't tipping the driver, isn't doing that is a demonstration of the lack of value they see in the driver and the lack of value they see in the transaction. Because the reality is, what's in front of them right now is yes, you're paying the delivery fee. They understand that, but then you're also paying a tip, and they're doing it up front. So when someone pays a tip, they're paying that with the expectation that the driver will see that and is going to work to get their food to them in the fastest, most efficient, safest, and best form possible. And when a customer buys into that, it tells me right up front, I'm going to probably have less potential problems with the customer trying to get in the way of that. Doesn't always mean that. It does mean that the customer may also have higher standards. So I have to be aware of that. But I'm not really worried about that because I know I have good bags. I know I have uh, good processes. Okay. And I've been working on that and I reflect on that at the end of every day to make sure that if something goes wrong, I learn from it. I don't get mad about it. I don't get upset about it. I don't throw blame on anybody. I just learn from it and I move forward. And that's why I have ratings that have so far sustained themselves. I'm not going to sit here and brag about them or talk about them because then, the world has a way of coming back and kicking you in the ass as soon as you make light of it. But I'm going to just state that that is not a concern of mine. And it shouldn't be a concern of yours on a daily basis. It just shouldn't. These are things you should just be doing and mitigating and planning for. And you shouldn't be involved in an order that you don't believe is worth your time. So when you hit accept, you're like, it's game time. They're getting the 5-star service that every customer is going to get the moment that accept hits. Whether it's a shop and deliver, whether it's picking up packages for Amazon, whether it's picking up McNuggets from McDonald's, or like last night, a $300 sushi meal, to which I had bagged up in different bags and made sure everything was temperature controlled as well as to the best of my ability. To which the customer saw that, enjoyed that. Now they'd already tipped me up front, but so far so good on all my ratings, and they obviously felt like they got their $53 value out of that, and that's it. It's simple. It can be very simple. You can make your money as long as the money you need to make is within reason to what you're working with. As long as you pay attention to your metrics, as long as you pay attention to your expenses. Oh, appearance is absolutely a concern. Listen, I'm going to tell you something that I learned a long time ago, right? You dress for success. And you remember that. And I was told that by an elder of mine who was passing that on as I was entering into the workforce. Said, listen, you dress for success. And especially if you're going to be in sales, which I was in sales before, people will buy your product when they see a successful appearance, when you exude success. They don't want to buy from somebody who doesn't look successful, right? And people are not going to, you walk into a merchant and you look like, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and make fun of anybody or anything like that. But I mean, I saw an individual in a merchant the other day that I was like, are you kidding me? They looked like they were straight up in their pajamas picking up for DoorDash. And why did I know? Because they were in front of me and I could see their phone and they identified themselves. And I thought that is ridiculous. That person clearly is clueless. And that person is probably not making the money they want to make. They don't have they have no mindset of success. They've given up before they've even started. They didn't even take the time to get out of their pajamas this morning. They didn't even take the time to show that they cared. And the customer is going to get that food. If they see that person walk up to their door and they have to hand it to them, they're probably going to end up, that person's going to already be framing everything in a negative light. So appearance is absolutely Huge. Appearance is a big deal. And if you don't think it's a big deal, that's fine. Again, that's the beauty of the fact that we don't have a dress code because we create our own. But I would ask you, if you're making money and then you're and whatever your appearance is, keep it. It's working for you. I'm not going to judge it. But if you're not making money, start looking at every aspect of your operation. Do a full audit of your operation. Look at everything. Stop spending time watching and looking at others. Stop spending time breaking down other people who are successful or trying to figure out why they're not successful. You are putting energy that could be going towards your own success outwardly to someone else. You are wasting time. You are wasting energy, and you don't need to be doing it. And you're holding yourself back. You are holding yourself back. What's going on, Shane? Man, welcome, welcome. So yeah, absolutely, Hawk Smash. I agree with you. Appearance, is appearance. I believe that it absolutely makes a big difference. But again, that ties into what I'm talking about today. That one of the things that is imperative to being successful out here in the gig economy is having a business like approach. If you have a business like approach, you are not going to be showing up in your pajamas at a merchant. It's not going to happen, right? And if you're taking it seriously like you should, now at the same time, there's a large amount of people out here that this isn't serious business for them. And you know what? That's fine. That's why if someone comes to my channel and says you're too serious about gig work, that's absolutely fine, man. You're not, my channel's not for you. And I don't mean it can't be for you or that I don't want you there. If you want to be there, that's fine. You want to watch, it's fine. But if you don't care about gig work, if you think this is too serious talk for you, if you think taking stats and being serious about your profit and loss, if you think that's too much, if you think that understanding your money that you're supposed to be working for every day is silly, then you know what? That's fine. This isn't for you. We don't really have anything to say to each other. So, and just go elsewhere. Go find the thing you want to see. What's up, Shane? So what is that of? Shorts? Would somebody make a short about me or something? Gotta see if I can try to figure out how to get that up. Let's see what it is. I don't know. Let's see here. Yeah, man, I don't know if I can copy that from there. Um, what is that of, Shane? Oh, your racing videos. Oh, okay, gotcha. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, I went over to your channel. I was checking it out actually. I saw the racing videos and they're pretty cool, man. I was checking those out the other night. I was actually showing my sons. Oh, and you see, it looks like we lost the sub. I just noticed that when I was going in there, but that's okay. To me, like I said, this is about more than to me. This is about um, this is about connecting with the right people, right? So if somebody says, I don't like what Dad Dash is saying because he's talking about business, that's fine. That's okay. And if you don't find value in the content, that's fine. But that is what the purpose of this space is for, is to talk about gig business. And also, like I said, and in other people's stuff, communicate with other drivers and things like that. The newest one that I just did. Oh, okay. So you have a new one up this weekend. Okay, let me go over there and check it out. Oh, that's a good point. Hold on a second, Shane. You're right on that. You're right on that. Hold on. Let me. I think I got to do that on my YouTube side. All right, let me see what's up here. All right. And add as a moderator. There we go. Thank you. All right. So now you can share the video, right? Okay, cool. So go ahead and put that back in. Because I don't think it's gonna. No, it won't let me. It won't let me grab it. That's the problem. Hey, if you can put it in now, it should let me grab it now. But if you're not, I think if you're not, like if you didn't have a wrench, it doesn't let it be a grabbable link. Because I was trying to do that. Sorry to be complicated. Ah, there it is. Yep. Okay, let me just go to. There it is. Nice. You should probably be able to hear it right now. Awesome. Very nice. Give it a like. Hulk Smash. Which video are you talking about? You talking about this video here, or you talking about another video you want to share with us? I don't know what that was. All right, let's see. Let's go back in. All right. You know what? We're going to take that order. All right. I'm taking That's the first order of the day. I've been talking so much, I haven't really found any good orders to come in today. And I think my shift on DoorDash ended up timing out without an order. Yes, it did. But we'll take that Uber Eats order. Yeah, I just went in. I'm going to share that video, Shane. Hold on a second here. All right, I just posted it. This video here. All right, Hulk Smash. And what is the video? Make sure, of course, you're not trying to. Oh, you mean this video here is in the video we're on right now? I got you. Okay, I got you. Gotcha. I think everybody left, but I appreciate y'all that's been in today. But yeah, I mean, this. I think your videos. Oh, I appreciate it, Hulk Smash. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. I mean, like I said, that's why I mean I speak to I'm speaking to whoever wants to listen. And I think that we can definitely I would encourage everybody to consider that has an interest. Um, Everyone that has an interest in trying to be successful with gig work, post up videos, start some lives, start some conversations, share your stuff, share your thoughts. Oh, you didn't leave. Oh, I don't know. It had said 0. I don't know. I think my StreamYard gets weird or something. It drops out because I've seen like Hawk Smash has been talking to me and it'll sometimes say 0. So I thought everybody left, but I appreciate everybody that's here and listening. But we're going to go do an order. I figure what I'll do is before I end the live, we'll do a successful order together. By the way, this is a $10.02 5 mile Chipotle order. So the Chipotle up here normally does a pretty decent job of getting the orders out. I hope it does and continues that. But $10 for 5 miles is in my opinion, that is a good order. Now I know I've got some runoff. I know in this area I've got probably anywhere from 30 to 65 cents a dead mile runoff. So I've got to accept a $2 or more in order. I mean, or at least try to. There are times I don't hit that, but it will even out over time because I'm going to be looking towards that metric, and I'm going to be looking for higher value orders, which tend to be the ones that come in. Like last night's order was very, very helpful when I got the $53 for 6 miles. That was huge. Then I got a Spark Shop, which was $29 for 4 miles. That was helpful. And yeah, I'm a big fan of Chipotle as far as food. Um, Certain Chipotles though have problems with their order flow. This particular one does a pretty good job. And then they do a good job even if it is busy. They do a really good job of keeping you posted and keeping you aware of like what's going on when you walk in the door, and then they keep updating you. Um, and here is the Chipotle, everybody. See what we're picking up. We're picking up a burrito bowl. All right, so I don't want to see there being extra tip on this one. Let's see what we got. All right, guys, I will be right back. All right, guys, I'm back. Just realized that I had the music set to play originally, so that way if I did orders, there'd be something playing while everybody was waiting. But it turned off. I just realized. So, anyways, the order was ready. We have a 9-minute ride, so we will go ahead and get on the road. 4.3 miles. So Uber was pretty accurate, I think, in their assessment of the miles on this one. All right, let's see. And the good news about these miles is a majority of the miles are on the interstate. So that's much, in my opinion, much easier and quicker miles when you're on an order. Actually, hold on a second. No, it's not. I'm wrong on that. I thought we were heading towards the interstate. I guess we're not. What is this guy doing? Man, I was not even looking left at all. Get a better view of the road there. Let's get back in the comments. Has anybody, I don't know if either of you guys use Uber Eats or not, but I don't know if my iPhone has not updated yet to the new format, but my Android has the new look to it on Uber Eats, and now it's instead of swiping, it's multiple steps. I'm not sure how I like it. I mean, it seems to me that it's getting more like DoorDash. You have it? Yeah, I'm mixed on how I feel about it. I mean, I think it presents the information a little bit better, a little cleaner, but yeah, we just had look 3 things what we talked about today. Making sure that you are always approaching things from a business-like approach, collecting data, and improving your decision making. And then making sure that you're building out your opportunities. I mean, that's as simple as that. And then, of course, like I said, there's a lot of other little things that you should be doing and looking towards. You know, do you have that? What's your dash cam? I've heard there's a dash cam. I don't know if you guys have heard about this. I heard there was a dash cam coming out, or it's with a company that normally works for rideshare. They provide dash cams, but they're now going to be providing a body camera that will record, or I guess that you'll be able to hook onto yourself, and it will be recording every delivery that you do, and it will be essentially kept in the cloud, and then you'll be in a position to then call that up anytime you need it. And somehow it hooks in with a service that I guess helps with deactivations. So that if you got deactivated, you would, for say not delivering an order, you would be able to send them the deactivation notice to them, and they would immediately take the reins in getting that information sent over to the apps to show the footage they have of the delivery. I don't know what the cost of the service is, and I'm not 100% certain who the company is. I've got to look at it and research it, but I heard it in a live that there's supposedly going to be I'm sure when it rolls out, I think it was Rideshare Radio who was talking about it. So I'm sure when it rolls out, it will start getting promotion by some of the gig tubers, which is when I anticipated I'll check it out. But it's stuff like that if you're running things like a business, you know, those are the costs and expenses that would come out ahead of everything else to make sure you can have those things for your business to protect yourself. And I've had, conversations with individuals that are doing this and said, hey, get this, get a better bag, get a pizza bag, whatever, so you can have access to different programs and earning opportunities. I've actually been told by them, I can't afford to do that. And I'm like, what? What do you mean you can't afford it? You've got the money coming in every single day. So invest in your business, take whatever little bit you have left after and put it towards your personal stuff. But if you make those investments in your business, pretty soon, hopefully your revenue will grow and you'll be able to do those things. It just, it's just a matter of the mindset. And that's what I mean by having that business like mindset. You've got to have, you know, the right approach. And if you have the right approach, you're going to take care of everything. I think a lot of times we confuse risk awareness and awareness of risk with like, well, that's a reason to not do something. That's not a reason to not do something. It's a reason to prepare for it. And you can't, if you're not taking any, when we start talking about deactivations and people having all these things happen, it's like we talk about it like, well, we've got to have an appeal process. Well, you can have an appeal process, but if you don't have a body cam, if you're not taking footage of your orders, you don't have the evidence to back up that you actually delivered the order, then what good is having an appeal process? So you've got to talk about all the processes. And those are just the little things you can do. Make sure you have a dash cam. Make sure you have a body cam. Make sure you have, there's also, if you're using an Android phone, you can very easily have a GPS camera running in the background. I paid $199 for that app and wrote it off the month that I did. And now I run it every single order. Every single order will have me walking up. Now there are like for Uber's app, for whatever reason, it won't let me run it in the background because I have to take a picture with the app connected or the camera connected to the app. So it will say, it will make me stop filming or stop recording. And then I'll stop recording, take the picture, start recording my way back to the car, getting footage of that food right by the door with the GPS timestamp right there. That way there is zero debate whether or not I delivered that order. And then you've got my dash cam that records me getting out of the car and walking up with the phone in my hand. You got, well, right now, today I'm not running my body cam, but at night I run my body cam. I figure if I have my camera on my phone and the camera on my dash cam, that's normally enough during the daytime. But at night I run the body cam because I want to have that flashlight when I'm walking up to a dark space. And it's also recording. So I can also provide my body cam, 3 different cameras at night, which to me is normally the highest risk, I think, for things like that to happen. But it can also be during the day. And then I'll also make sure, hey, if I'm doing a shop and pay, I want to get a shot with everything I can have. On Instacart, I got an attempt to say something wasn't delivered. And guess what? I took a picture of the bags and the batteries are sitting right there in the bag at the door. And Instacart removed it. Their situation is slightly different, but you can appeal all of it. And again, I had my stuff, I had my cameras, I had my pictures. Not only that, but I mean, I was prepared to go in and, I definitely could prove I was there delivering, but they just said I didn't have the item. So why she did that, I have no idea, but she did it and I proved it was not correct. And I got it removed as something that counted against me. Let's see, here's here. Nice. Clock smash. All right. So we are almost to the drop off, guys. You can see in the distance there is where we're going to be dropping off. It appears, according to the map. I think it's this new townhome apartment community. I'm pretty certain. Oh, that's why it keeps going off. My music was going off because I didn't have the loop set on it. Okay, there's why. Do you guys prefer to have background music going on a ride along, like for the times when we're delivering, or would you prefer it to be silent? All right, let's see what we got here. Yeah, these are all townhomes, and then we're delivering to single level. They've got townhomes and single levels. It's kind of a unique way to do apartments. All right, guys. So we got that order done. So now I'm waiting for. I don't know why this seems to be a pattern, but Uber, it seems nowadays it takes several minutes to update what the base pay is going to end up being for the order payout. It seems to take 2 or 3 minutes. I guess the customer has to confirm something, I think, on their end or something. It's been a long time since I've done a customer order. I probably should do that. I haven't done that in a long time on Uber Eats. Let's see here. Yeah, still updating. I don't think shouldn't be a cell signal issue or anything. Oh, 489. Okay, so we got paid 489, which means the tip will be, let's see here. 489 base pay, and let me confirm. Sorry, it was 1002. I thought it was 1007, but it's 1002. So that means the tip will be $5.13. Not a bad tip on that size of an order. So we'll get 1002 for that. What it took us, I don't know, 15, 16 minutes to do that or something like that. Not bad at all. Now, the only thing I don't understand is why it didn't take me the interstate. It took me up you guys saw, I think it must have taken me the smaller mile one. But anyways, guys, so with that, we've delivered an order. We talked about business. I think I'm going to end the live. I appreciate everybody that's tuned in. Hulk Smash, Shane Appley, appreciate you guys jumping in. Anybody else that watch, anyone that does watch this on the replay, hopefully you've enjoyed it as well. And guys, I will talk to you soon. Have a good day.